dies. So now let's go ahead and cut something a little bit thicker like chipboard. Okay, chipboard is a little harder to cut with thin dies, so you do need a thicker one of these. Okay, steel rule dies. So for this one, you really don't put your platform because it's pretty thick. As you can see, it's probably as thick as your platform. So what you need is just your cutting plates. So what you do is you'd put this cutting plate on. Am I in frame? Let me just move up a little bit. You'd put your die there. Okay. I want the top to be white, so I'm going to flip this over and put my chipboard and then put another plate, cutting plate. Then I'm going to go ahead and push that through, and you'll see how well this cuts. So I pass through, and don't be afraid of that sound. You feel like you're wrecking something, breaking something, but you're not. Okay. And as you can see, it has cut that butterfly. And this is considered a medium weight chipboard. Okay, see, it cut it. And there's your butterfly, nice and thick. And then you could, if you wanted to design this and put designer paper, I probably would have cut it together. Maybe actually adhere the paper first on it and then cut it, however you want to do it. But see, cuts like a butter. Isn't that awesome? And it will cut through vinyl, glitter paper, other materials, plastic, acetate, things like that. So yeah, so that's how you use this big kick here. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, now there's other things that you can buy also with the Civics. You probably heard of a precision base plate. Basically, this is if you're cutting something intricate, like something like that doily right there, or that flower doily die. If you're gonna cut with that type of die, and it does give you a better surface for cutting. This is not the side you use, of course. This is the side you use. So let me show you how to use this. You do need your base, your platform. Okay, you put this. Mine is already kind of beat up, so you put this there. Okay, I think I'm a little off frame. Let's say you're using something like this. This is a Spellbinders Die, and see how it's pretty intricate, right? I'm gonna put my paper there, and I'm gonna put this down. So for thin, intricate dies, this is the base that I would use. Now you don't need 2 cutting plates, you only need 1 on top. So basically that precision plate is taking the place of your other cutting plate. Put it through. And hopefully it cuts it, but I'm gonna give it another pass. Coming back.
Where's Jen? Oh, I didn't know it had that.
Sometimes I go back I pass it through another time, but you can kind of look to see if it's cut it, and as you can see, it hasn't completely cut. Okay, so I would leave it alone. Don't try to peel it off. I would stick it back in. Sometimes I flip it over and I'll actually do it this way. That way I can kind of see. Remember, these are clear acrylic plates, so you could definitely cut this way so that you can see better if it actually cut through. And it looks like it's almost cut through. The middle part here is not. You can kind of see this part is not completely cut. I hope my camera's picking that up. Okay, the sides are pretty much cut. Okay, but there's areas that I want to make sure it's completely cut. So I'm going to give it one more pass. Now, warning though, if you keep going back and forth, you know, you do ruin your cutting pads that way, or they end up warping, which is kind of unavoidable. That's just how these machines work. The more you use it, the more they warp, and there is a trick on how to stick this in your oven and straighten it out, but it never really completely straightens out, and you know, they get pretty beat up, they get cut up, so you are gonna eventually have to replace these, but they're not too expensive or anything. Hobby Lobby sells them. Okay, so there it is. Now I can take this off. You need some kind of pokey tool to poke this through, and I don't know what I've done with mine. Wow, I just had it too. Anyway, sometimes I go ahead and use my tweezers too, because this one has a very fine tip, and I will use it. So you just kind of poke all that, or if you have one of those, and careful, don't poke yourself, because I just did. Wow, where is my thing? If you have one of those tools, oh, here it is, sorry, one of these. It's a Spellbinder tool-in-one. You can poke, see that? And you can also do this to release it. That also releases it. Okay, so yeah. That works pretty well too, so there you go. Maybe one more little piece there. And you have this nice, pretty, intricate little gate here. Half of a gate anyway. Here's this one here. We can do that one. We can do that. I hope I'm using this correctly. I don't use this very much. I kind of forget I have it. And it is somewhat effective. I mean, unless I'm using it wrong, I don't know. But it does. You still have to use also your pokey tool. Now, you can also use wax paper or parchment paper. What you would do is, but for me, I don't use it. I tried it. It works. It doesn't, you know, it definitely doesn't stick. But it creates a big mess too. You still have to clean your die. You're still gonna have to poke it to clean it off your die, but your die cut does pop out more easily. I hope I made sense there. And what you do is you'd put your parchment paper over the die and then your paper. So you have that parchment paper in between your paper and your die so that it doesn't stick. There you go. Okay, so yeah, that's how that works. I just poke that out. It just takes time too, but it's worth it because, you know, you just get this really pretty die cut. Which looks amazing. But if you had to cut several of these, ooh, it's a lot of work. I've done it. I've given away dies. Die cuts as intricate as these. And it is a lot of work. So okie doke. But yeah, you guys kind of get the gist here. That's how you'd use this. So that's my little demo. Hopefully this was helpful, informative, and will help you make the right decision in you know, getting a die cutting machine. If you are a card maker, if paper crafting is your passion, you do have to invest in some kind of die cutting machine because you know, you can just take your whole craft into you know, a higher level. I mean, seriously, it's a necessity for us paper crafters. So yeah. So there's other accessories that you can buy with your big kick as well. You guys might have seen people use this. This is a magnetic platform. And so basically it's similar to this one here. You don't have the tabs, but it's magnetic, and so your die stays in place. Sometimes, you know, you don't want your stuff moving around, especially if you're cutting a bunch of things, and you know. So what you do is you'd put this first, then you'd put your cutting plate. Mine is warped, so it's not gonna stay on there very well. That's the only thing. Your cutting plate has to be pretty much straight for you to be doing this, because otherwise it's not really going to stay on there. It is magnetic, so there you go. It has to be this way. So what you do is you'd put your piece of paper there, you'd put your die, and it's magnetic, so it stays on there, it doesn't move. And then you put your cutting plate and you pass it through. And that's how it cuts it. I probably have to pass this through a couple of more times because it's very intricate. Because my plates are a little bit warped, it's not effectively cutting. So if you're having this problem with intricate dies like this, intricate, you know, cut, you might need to get a straight, you might need to replace your cutting plate, okay? Another tip, so that you're not warping this too much, is also rotating where you're cutting your dies. So, you know, don't always cut in the middle. Don't always place your die in the middle. You have to use all the surfaces. You know, you should rotate. Flip it over and use the other side as well. So that, you know, you're using up the whole acrylic piece, and you'll get less warping. Also, some people will also, instead of just keeping it straight like this, like straight, they will kind of tilt, like place it diagonally, and sometimes that cuts more effectively as well. So those are just tips. Okay. One more thing that I wanted to share with you is the movers and shapers. So Sizzix, Tim Holtz came up with these alterations die, but these are the dies here, okay? And to use these dies, so you do need a base tray, a magnetic base tray, and they basically are magnetic. It stays on there. So you would use your cutting plate. Then you put your tray, you put your dies, and then you would put, let me get a cardstock. And then you'd put your cardstock over that. Let me just cut a piece here. These are just my scraps. Again, I want this side, so I'm going to turn that over. Okay, you're going to put your other cutting plate, and you can put that through just once around, because again, this is a steel ruled die. It cuts like butter, so there you go. I just cut my little typewriter and my telephone. So that's another kind of die that you can use. Again, with these dies, you do need this base tray, magnetic base tray, because they do have magnets on them. Okay, so all right, I think I've covered all the dies that I have pretty much. If you have any questions, just leave it on the comments, and I'll try to answer them as best I could, and I hope this was informative and helpful for you guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.